So this is going to be the second half of our assignment of the selection canvas. Today I'm going to talk about how to select an item and separate it from the background of an image. So here we have the Wildcat, the ACU Wildcat that is on the background of the purple, where it says fight, white, fight, 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 all on the back there. Purple and white fight. Okay, so I want to choose this cat and I'm going to cut him out from the background. And there's several different ways to do that, but I'm just going to take one or two that I think for this particular application would be the easiest way to get that done. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to zoom in. Whoops, zoom in, not zoom out. You want to get in close to your work so you can kind of see what you're doing. It's really hard. I notice a lot of you guys, you work this far away. And the problem is you can't really see what you're doing. You can't see stuff very well. So you might have pixels that skip an area. Like it might jump over and you'll have this area that's not selected properly. Well, if you're not zoomed in on it, you can't see that. So you need to make sure that you're close enough into your work that you can see what you're doing. All right, so the way to make selections, well, there's something that we call the selection tools, right? So we have several different selection tools. We have the marquee tool, we have the lasso tools, we have the magic wand tools, if you will. All of those make selections, and it's just based on what type of selection that you're trying to do, which is going to be the best selection. Okay, if I'm just going to cut a square selection out of this, I'd probably just use the marquee tool, and it makes a selection across there. I don't know if you guys can see that on the screen up there, but it's got the marching ants. Boy, that really doesn't show up. You can't really see that, can you? Man, that's too bad. There's marching ants that go all the way around that. I'm sorry that you can't see it. I can see it on my screen quite well. You'll see it on the video. So this is going to, if I make this selection, it's going to cut out everything inside that square and I'll have it. But we don't want that. We want to remove the cat from the background. So I'm going to deselect this, what I did, which is Command D. And that deselects everything that I have here. So the marquee tool is probably not the right tool, and none of these tools are really going to help me get what I'm wanting. None of these, because they're just a basic selection of an area. Next we have the lasso tools. So these are pretty good. They allow you to customize your selection. A lasso is kind of like drawing. You just kind of draw a big selection around what you want. Same thing with a polygon. It just allows you to go in straight lines. And then the magic wand one, now that's not too bad. That might be one that we could use. And the way that one works is when you come over whatever it is you establish where you want to start drawing. So I'm like, click there. And then as I kind of trace it, I'm not holding down. I'm just moving the mouse. The computer kind of reads what you're going over. It kind of reads it and decides, yeah, I think this is where he was thinking that you wanted it. And every once in a while, I'll click to reestablish. Now, I don't know if you can see that one, but you can see it on the screen where it went out too far. So I'd have to come back and fix that because I strayed out. I strayed way out to the right. And so it's thinking that I want some of that out there. Same thing if I come over here to the left, it's trying to magnetize to the shifts in color and value. So as long as I stay close along the frame and click every now and then, it will stay true as it can to that area. Okay? So let me back out. But that's an okay tool. We might want to use that one. but then again, it doesn't really, might not be the most effective and efficient way. So let's look at the other select tools. The other select tools are the magic wand tool, and living with it together lives the quick select tool. So let's talk about the magic wand tool for a second. The magic wand tool, what it does is it allows us to select colors, like a whole color range. So let's say I'm wanting to get all of this color of purple, the center of this cat. If I want that purple in this cat, I can use a magic wand tool, and when I click, it will select all of the purple. Now, remember up here at the top, we have this option bar or information bar. This gives us information on the tool based on the tool that we have and or what we have selected. So I've got the magic wand tool, and I've got some different settings here. So if I go over it, this says a new selection. This is add to the selection, take away from the selection, subtract from it, or the intersection. Also, I can tell it where do I want it to sample. Another thing that's important is the tolerance. So if there's a little bit of a color shift, you can be stricter, you can be more prejudiced or less prejudiced. You can say, no, I only want this shade of purple. No other shade of purple, just this one. So you set a really high or a low tolerance. That way it's only going to pick that purple. The higher the tolerance you set, the more loosely it is with the colors that it picks. Okay? Another button that's very important is this one right here. Can you guys read that? What's that say? What does that mean? Contiguous. What does that mean? Anybody know? Contiguous means things that are touching. So when people say that, hey, this offer is only valid in the contiguous United States, what does that mean? What states is the offer not valid in? Huh? Which states would not accept it? Which states are not contiguous? Which states don't touch? Alaska and Hawaii. So they are not touching. They don't touch. So contiguous means things that are touching. Okay? So if you have the contiguous button selected, that means it will only grab the color that's touching together. So if I select on this purple, you can see it gets all of the purple inside of there, which is good. I'm going to change the layer, change the name of the layer to 0. Because it says background, a little side note. If it says background, you have to change the name of the background to make something transparent or to cut it away. So I'm changing the name. All you got to do is double click on it and it will change it to layer 0. That's fine. I don't care what it's called. I just don't want it called background. Now if I delete, watch. It pretty much got all of the purple because I had contiguous checked, right? So let's undo that. Now, let's do the same thing, deselect, Command D, with the gray. I've got gray in this image too. So this is gray, his tongue is gray, the hair is gray. So I'm going to click on this gray right here on the left. So I click on that, and now I delete it. It only gets rid of the hair right there. Why? Why didn't it get this gray and this gray and this gray and this gray? Because they're not touching. That's right. Absolutely right. So let's Command Z. And actually I clicked on, so I have to, so there I made a mistake. I clicked on something before I undid it. So now you only have one undo in Photoshop. So now I have to go to my history palette, which is not up for some reason. There's history. And now I can go back. There's my selection. Okay, that's your kind of workaround on the undo. So now if I want to get all the gray, I come up to where it says contiguous and I uncheck it. Uncheck it. Now it's going to get all the gray. Regardless of where it is, it's going to select all the gray. So I get the magic wand tool, I select it, and just to prove that I have all the gray, I hit delete, and all that goes white or clear. You can see the little dots behind it. Okay? So that's how you select all of a color on the entire image. Is you make sure that when you're using the magic wand tool, that you have the contiguous button turned off. Okay? And that will get all of the color. Sometimes you don't want all of it. Sometimes you just want the area that you're selecting. So that's the magic wand tool. Now, if I'm going to cut this cat out, I've got purple, I've got white, I've got gray. I got a lot going on. So that's probably not the tool I want to use, really. I could maybe select the outside, select the purple out here, but then, gosh, I get really weird looking. It gets the letters. So now I got to tell it to get all those letters. And it's usually, doesn't look like it's a lot of work. It's maybe a good fit, maybe not a good fit. We'd have to click for a while. We're clicking in these areas that are still remaining. Yeah, so I still have some down here. Let's see if we have any up here. Nope, got all the way. Got all the way. Okay, so let me delete it. That's not too terrible bad. It's not too terrible bad. So magic wand tool might be one to work, but you're going to have to select and add all of the colors that it doesn't pick up. And the way you do that, so let me zoom in so you guys can see it. Can you see those words in there? So if I select on this word, it gets all of those words. But I want the purple next to the word as well. So I have to hold down my shift key, and that adds, let me see if this will allow me to zoom in on that. Yeah. So when I hold down my shift key, it adds it to a plus symbol. And so now when I click, it adds that level of purple. And then I have to go to the next level of purple, which is right here, and add it. Then I got to add that and add that. So you got to keep adding it, and it will eventually learn what it is that you're wanting to select. You can kind of see that selection there. And I would keep going until I get all of it selected. Like this, like this, like this. You got to keep getting all these little guys until eventually you have all of it. So that's not a bad way to do it. You can do it that way as well. Let's talk about the last way to do it. The last way to do it, which I think is probably going to be our best way, is underneath the magic wand tool, we have the quick select tool. And the quick select tool allows us to kind of paint the area that we want. And as we're painting, the computer is learning what you want and what you don't want based on what you're painting. So, both of these images are, both sides of the image, the inside and the outside, are pretty close to each other. So sometimes if you have a solid white background or a solid color background, sometimes it's easier just to select the background than it is to select the object you want. But once you've got the background selected, you invert it so that you let go of the background and you have the item that you want. But you have to remember to invert it. So with this paintbrush, what I do is it's going to paint a selection. So I begin to paint, and as I am painting along, the computer is learning based on what colors I am painting over. And eventually it will just say, oh, he's wanting all of these, and it starts to jump. I don't know if you guys can see that doing that. Can you see it? It's jumping and getting even bigger with everything that I paint over. When you get the video, you'll definitely be able to see it. What it's not jumping on is the cat, because there's this hard line of gray and purple. Because of the hard line of gray and purple, it's creating a natural barrier, and it's not getting that, which is exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to avoid that. So I just keep painting and painting, and it's adding. Look, I made a big jump there. And I keep painting and painting, and it's going to jump again. And I'm staying way away from that cat because I don't want it to make any kind of mistake and think that I want that cat. So I'm not touching anything that even resembles that gray that goes all the way around it. So this black, and look, it just jumped and it did the whole, it finally went all the way around. And if I zoom in, again, you'll be able to see this on the video better. You can see the marching ants are all the way around this cat. Okay, and let me delete it so that you can see it. So if I delete it, you can see that it had made a selection all the way around that cat. So let me undo that. So now, what was I painting on? Was I painting the cat or was I painting the background? Painting the background, that's right. Because when I delete it, background goes away. So I'm simply going to copy and paste this from this image to the other image like we did earlier. But I don't want to copy the background. I want to copy the cat. So I have to do what's called inverting it. I invert it. So if you go up to the menu and go to selection and go to inverse, or I know it better with the shortcut key is Command Shift I. That will inverse my selection. Command Shift I. And now I have the cat selected and not the background. Let's find out. Let me hit the delete key. Yep, there it goes. So I have the cat. Undo that. So now I have the cat. So let me open up our other image that we were doing. Right there. That will bring up our sample image that we were working on. You can see my cat there. So I go back to the tabs that I have up here. I go back to the original cat tab. These are tabs. I have two files up. Can you see that? This is the one that's got the ACU cat. And this is my selection layers. And all I do is I click back and forth. And I'm going back and forth between these tabs. Jumping back and forth. That's how you have multiple pages open up at one time. You have these tabs. So I'm going to go to the cat. We've got the cat selected. I'm going to copy it. What's the shortcut key, Sonia, for copy? Command C. That's right. So now I'm going to go to my sample here. And now I'm going to paste it. Antonio, what's the command key for paste? Command what?
A.
No, for paste, you'd think it'd be P, but it's V. That's right, it is V. You'd think it'd be P for paste. But what is Command P? What's that stand for? Print. That's right. So Command V, and there's my cat right there in the dead center. I don't know if you can see him or not. It's kind of camouflaged in there. Let me zoom in. There's a cat I just posted. And again, when I put it in, it creates its own layer. So there's the new layer that I just posted in. And I can select on that cat and move him around wherever I want him and set him where I want him to. Let's say I want him there. So yeah, great. There he goes. All right. So give me 1 second and I'll answer all your questions. So that is, I showed you a couple different ways to make selections. On this particular image, that selection, the quick select tool was probably the best tool to use. I would say on a lot of your images, the quick select tool is going to be probably the best tool to choose to make your selection. If I was going to make a selection of this guy on the motorcycle, I wanted him and the motorcycle, I would probably use the quick select tool and paint around him. Okay?